Hey everyone, Braden here, coming to you with a very special episode of Mickey Views News, where it's that time of the month where we're going to take a tour all around Epcot to see all the latest happening in the park as it undergoes this dramatic Epcot overhaul in Walt Disney World. So first things first, let's head towards the entrance to the park. Walking up right off to the right side is where guests are currently going to the bag check. There's only one bag check area open right now, and it's under the monorail station, so that's where the guests are headed. As the guests are walking towards that area, you may notice something in the distance as these beautiful new Epcot directional signs have been added to the entrance, one on each side of the tram loop in the new Epcot style with the blue Epcot color and the new Epcot font. You might notice the directional sign on the east side still has some empty areas on it. That's because the east bag check is still under construction. The whole entrance experience on that side is still in the works. Progress on it looks pretty good, so stay on the lookout for that to open. I think they're trying to get it done in time for the spring break crowds, which would be pretty awesome, but we'll see how that goes. There's some other Epcot signage too, like the new tram signs, and they look awesome as well. All this new signage just looks so good with the curved style to it. I'm really happy to see Epcot getting love like this. Speaking of, once through the bag check, you can see we finally have a new Epcot sign that greets you outside the ticketing area when you're entering and exiting the park. Opposite to it, we still have the old signage with the old Epcot font or sort of like graphic there that you also have at the entrance to the park at the parking toll that looks really bad, sort of the old Eisner style. You still have the Card Walker dedication plaque there, which should definitely stay, obviously. That's awesome. That is core to the park. It's really the dedication telling you what it's all about. The old Epcot directional signs are now off to the side, and they're almost all taped up completely because there's been so many changes to where things are in the park. Entering the park, you can see you have walls off to the right side right now, and from the monorail, we can see the current work on the Epcot entrance overhaul work that's happening over there, where you might notice some framing coming together, some molds that they actually pour the cement into to make the new planter shapes. Looking at the Epcot fountain, which will be the centerpiece of this new Epcot entrance, it may look like not much is happening, but if you look closely, a lot is happening because at the base of the fountain, it looks like there's some brand new cement in place that has been formed into these geometric cuts into the base of the fountain itself, which looks so cool. The sort of angular design going on there, a really nice pattern that is going to be so cool to see when it's all painted and it's all finished. I'm so excited to see that fountain finished because also, of course, you have the Epcot Center prisms that are returning in the middle, which is just going to be awesome to get a photo with. You know, I've never even been alive while those have been around, actually placed in front of the entrance to the park. So that's going to be great to see. Heading past the Epcot entrance, off to each side of Spaceship Earth right now, you might notice there are these new directional graphics painted onto the legs of the structure itself. And these are there because there is no center of Future World open anymore. There's no cut through, there's no way into the center of Future World. It is all blocked off. So as soon as you enter the park, you have to commit to one direction of Future World or the other, where then you take a bypass walkway to that side to access the offerings you have on each side of Future World. Taking a look at the now fully walled off center of Future World, you can see it's just a giant pit of dirt. You can see Pin Central is being removed. They're starting to take the canopies off of Electric Umbrella, the outdoor seating area. It looks like the windows of Mouse Gear are just completely blown open and the entire inside is all gutted. It's all gone. And they already removed a whole section of the outside of Mouse Gear. There used to be this section that protruded out of the original Communicore structure, and now that has already been completely demolished. If you're wondering what that cement is, where Club Cool and Starbucks used to be on the Innoventions West side, that is actually the ceiling of the underground maintenance tunnels that are located under the park, that were located under the original Innovention structure there. So starting off on the Future World east side to take a look at everything happening around Future World, the way you get over there now is you have to go past Gateway Gifts under Spaceship Earth, and then you have to go off towards Guest Relations, the original Guest Relations location. And if you try to go past there towards the center of the park, you'll run into some cast members with some signs telling you, hey, you have to turn here because there's no longer any way into the center of the park. The only thing past the cast members and the little stanchions you have there blocking it is the Spaceship Earth exit area, and anything past the post-show of Spaceship Earth and the VIP lounge you have up there, that is all completely gone and blocked off. Speaking of, yesterday I did a video where we talked about the new refurbishment start date for Spaceship Earth, when it's going to go down for its dramatic overhaul. In that video, I mentioned on May 26th, this building, the post-show area to Spaceship Earth, that is going to start being removed as well. All that's going to get walled off, it's going to get demolished, and in its place, a new streamlined designed building is going to be taking place. That's just like more of a round shape. If you notice in the concept art that we've gotten, various shots of the overall Epcot overhaul, the area they're doing to the center of the park. And I talked about how the queue is now going to be inside the old post show. So it's going to kind of be turned around. But what I did now is I've made a graphic to visualize this for you. So currently, the Spaceship Earth queue, the way it works is you queue outside, and then as soon as you enter the building itself, you have that load platform right there, the ride track, and that's actually where you board the attraction. And then on the way down, you get off right next to where you loaded, and you have that enormous post-show area, that huge area after you unload from the attraction. In this new layout, in this huge refurbishment they're doing, the rumor is, according to my sources at least, I haven't heard this from anyone else, but from my inside sources that know about the project, the reason Spaceship Earth might be down for 2 to 3 years is because the big plan is to completely reshape the track of the load unload for the attraction, the track itself. So inside the new building, it's going to sort of be around the perimeter of the building, and that's going to free up tons and tons of space inside for a new indoor air-conditioned queue, maybe even a pre-show in there. Because just imagine the current attraction if you had that whole load and unload area and that whole post-show area all dedicated just to being, you know, the queue for the attraction. That is going to be a lot of space they're going to have to work with here. And I think a big reason they want to do this layout is that would allow all the old queue space on the outside that's on each side of the Spaceship Earth building, all of that will be removed. So you'll have a much wider pathway for crowds to get in and out of the park on each side. So when you have the big rush in the morning when the park opens, and after the fireworks, of course, when everyone's trying to leave, the pathways will be wider so those crowds can move even faster. And again, this is just a rumor. This is just from my sources and things I've been hearing, but I thought I'd put together that graphic for you guys. So hopefully it gives you some better insight when I talk about that new post-show building, how it's actually going to be the queue for the attraction. You can see how that works. Back to our tour of all the latest happening in Epcot here for the month of February. Back by guest relations, you can see past it where the walls are blocking off the center of Future World. You can see the shade tiles from Pin Central have all been removed, and you can see Pin Central itself sort of getting ripped up there. Now today, Pin Central is actually already gone. You can see in this brand new photo from Blog Mickey today, it has now been completely removed overnight. Once you reach guest relations, to get to Future World East, you actually have to turn left towards the Universe of Energy, and then you walk down that pathway towards the Universe of Energy, and that brings you right over to that half of Future World. Once you get to the end of the bypass walkway, there's actually a side entrance to Mouse Gear right there, the temporary Mouse Gear, so just a little hint there if you want to get into that shop easier. And also over there, you can see all the way across the dirt pit in the center of the park to the Land Pavilion on the other side, which is a really crazy sight to see. From the monorail, taking a look first at the Guardians coaster, you can see that there's a massive machine mounted outside the front of the former Universe of Energy building, and what it's there for is to bring the new solar panels onto the ceiling of the pavilion. You can see all that framing that the machine has already brought in, and you can actually see a worker that's up there working on it. Safe to say it's going to look really cool up there once they get all the new solar panels in. Next door at the Wonders of Life, now called the Play Pavilion, not too much new activity is visible on the outside, but there is a new permit that Disney has filed for the installation of new sets on the inside, so very cool to see. We'll see what happens there. We still don't really know what to expect with the Play Pavilion. Everyone that I've heard that's involved with it says it's not going to be like it is in the concept art where people are calling it a playground. It's going to be more than that. I do think it's going to have stuff that is geared also for people of all ages, including adults. It's not just going to be, you know, your various meet and greets, although that is going to be an aspect of it in the general Golden Dome area. You're going to have some sort of offering, some sort of shows, some sort of interactive stuff, maybe some VR related stuff. I do think there's going to be some cool stuff in that building. So don't sleep on the Play Pavilion. I do think there's a chance we might have some cool stuff on the inside there. Next up at Mission Space, you can see from the front there are walls currently on the right side for the installation of what I believe is a new sort of like sign and facade area for the entrance to the Space 220 restaurant. And then you can also see that box up the ramp, and that we believe is going to be where you enter the restaurant itself. I swear I could hear work happening on the inside there while I was filming this. Over on the back where you can actually see the Space 220 building itself, between Test Track and Mission Space, you can see it looks like painting is finally just about done. It took a really long time to paint the back of this for some reason. You can see we have the Go Away green color as well as the sky blue colors, sort of a little bit of theming there on that side. We still have no idea when the Space 220 restaurant really is going to open. It just keeps getting delayed more and more and more. We will see. Over at Test Track yesterday, you can see all these cast members that were located out front. The ride had been down the last couple of months for a short refurbishment, and it looked like these cast members were really ready to open the attraction. I was like, are they going to soft open it? what's happening. It was testing all day, and then finally, when you're seeing this, actually now Test Track has been soft opened for a day and a half. It actually opened a day and a half earlier than was originally expected for the refurbishment to be done. So shout out to everyone who was working on that refurbishment for getting it done very quickly. Really great to see Test Track get a little bit of love and open back up to guests in a very efficient manner here. Interestingly, next to Test Track, there are now new FastPass Plus kiosks with this very interesting color scheme for being outside of Test Track. You'd think if they were going to make new FastPass Plus kiosks to put in that area, they'd make them blue, but instead it's like this other color. The color scene here is similar to the color that the Test Track / World of Motion Pavilion icon has in the new Epcot Ether, so that might be part of it, but it's still not exactly the same color, so who knows what exactly that is about. Maybe those kiosks are heading somewhere else in the future. Perhaps that's the plan, or are we in store for some huge overhaul to Test Track in the future? Probably the case as well. Heading towards the Epcot experience, first you can see Taste Track, a booth soon to open that's going to offer some more food in the area now that the Electric Umbrella has closed. Looks just about ready to open, so to keep a lookout for that. Next door to Taste Track, you have the Cool Wash, where they sell all these awesome Coca-Cola slushies. The Coca-Cola Boba Balls topping is no longer an offering though, and that was like the best topping, unfortunately. So we'll see if those come back, but it was a beautiful day filming this, and as you can see, I still got one, even though they are missing the Boba Balls. I actually headed over to the Odyssey to watch the Epcot Experience preview of all's to come in the park while I enjoyed my beverage. From the outside of the Odyssey, looking back towards Future World East, you can see the bypass walkway bringing you from Future World East all the way over to the World Showcase. You can also see all the flowers in place by the water as the Flower and Garden Festival is about to begin. Heading back towards Spaceship Earth, back through Future World East, you can see you have this park exit signage there at the bypass walkway directing guests towards the entrance to the park. Going past Spaceship Earth on the other side, if you try to go that direction on the Future World West side, you'll meet cast members with signage even sooner on that side, as the bypass walkway on the Future World West side is even closer to the front of the park than the other one is. If you go past Spaceship Earth on that side, the entrance, the way you actually get over to that section of the park is right by the restrooms on that side, if you know where that is. So it's between where the Art of Disney used to be and the restrooms. That's how you get over to Future World West. You go right through there. There's actually two entrances to that bypass walkway though, because the other way over is under the skylights from the Epcot entrance, right by where Pluto meets guests with the cool Epcot backdrop, right by that area. There's a lot of cool directional signage and graphics that are under those skylights now in that little area. I really love that spot, which is newly opened here and gotten some updates so it can become this new walkway. Since this bypass walkway used to be a backstage area, from here you could actually see the back of the Seas Pavilion, which is a pretty cool sight to see that you weren't able to see before. Along the Future World West bypass walkway, you can still see Innoventions West, the part that hasn't been demolished yet, and it's not looking like it's in the best shape, safe to say. That is definitely going soon. Once you're actually in Future World East, you can see most of the guests are using it just to cut over to the World Showcase, which is really the main reason most people are coming to Epcot right now, is to go over to the World Showcase, check out the festivals, you know, have some adult beverages over there, stuff like that. That seems to be the main draw to the park right now. The day I was filming this, the Jaminators were playing over by the old Innoventions West, where you'd enter the character meet and greet over there. It's great to see that they're still around, despite all the work that is currently happening in the area where they have played in the past. Starting off on this side at the Seas with Nemo and Friends, I am so excited to say this. Inside of Seabase Alpha, we have some big news, as we've gotten a slew of new Epcot font signage on the inside, permanent new signage. As you can see, we got this new directory in the middle. We got that late last year, and now almost all the signage in the aquarium complements it. Now, you know, with stuff with the Pavilion logo and the new Epcot font, it all looks so awesome. All of this is permanent signage. It just looks amazing. The manatees, just so cool to see. It just looks so awesome. Some of the signs actually light up, as you can see here. I just love the aesthetic of all of this. It's very classic Epcot. They've even got some new permanent light up signage for the escalator. So nice to see some love put into this place. Speaking of, I got to see the Lockout Chamber show where the diver goes in the tube for the first time ever. I've never witnessed that in person. I've always seen photos of it from back in the original Seabase Alpha days when it was white on the inside. I think the paint job did look better back then. I wish they'd go back towards that style. The whole aesthetic back then was so awesome. I really envy the days where it was the living seas and it wasn't like Nemo themed, because I really don't think that attraction does the pavilion justice. But safe to say, it was really cool to see this diver show. And to people who say nobody cares about the classic Epcot stuff anymore, you know, it's from a day gone by, the The crowd for this says otherwise. People absolutely were loving it. You could see everyone there around there with their phones out and, just enjoying it. I really like how they have the kid that gets to be part of the show and interact with the diver. Definitely some memories being made in real time there. The part of it that was more entertaining for me, more as like an adult and appreciating this aspect of it, was just how fast that tube fills up with water. They were saying it's like thousands and thousands of gallons of water. It fills up so quickly and it empties even faster. The water disappears so quickly. I actually think that's why the show was gone for a while, is because the plumbing involved wasn't working. It broke or something like that. But safe to say, it's here now and it's really awesome, and I'm just so glad I got to experience it. Next door at the land, there's not much new to report on the inside there, but between the land and Imagination, there's been this walled off area for a long time. And it looks like, judging by the butterflies on the construction walls, as well as the canopy structure you can see coming together inside there, I think that might be the new location for the butterfly area as part of the Flower and Garden Festival. Stay on the lookout for that. Over at the Imagination Pavilion, you can see just how beautiful of a day it was with the sun shining through the top of the Imagination Pavilion there. A DVC member actually let me go up to the second floor of the Imagination Pavilion, which is something I've always dreamed of doing since I was a kid, and that was really cool to see. They have a lounge up there with like some soda and snacks and stuff. It was really, really cool to see. From the Leaping Fountains area, which is just such an awesome place to relax, you can see another area that is getting ready for the next festival with what looks like a playground area being assembled down there. Let me know what you guys think about that. And also from up here, you can see the Wonders of Life in the distance, as well as the massive Guardians coaster building across the pit that is in the middle of Future World. This was the last day of the Festival of the Arts, and you can see all the guests that are finishing up work on Figment there at the Expression section. You can also see all the flowers here in the area getting ready for Flower and Garden. It smells so nice in Epcot right now. I got my last lemon blood orange tart from Festival of the Arts. One of the best desserts I've ever had at Disney. That thing is really, really good. We also have to give a shout out to Germany over at the train set. There are mini Festival of the Arts banners that were there on the train set. That is the level of detail that keeps people coming back to the park, and that was just so cool to see and appreciate. As of the last day of the Festival of the Arts, these were the two Epcot posters that were being sold inside the booth, where they were being sold throughout the length of the festival. Here you can see you had Space 220 and the Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind poster being sold. The special prints limited edition 100 of each design. It didn't seem like they sold that well throughout the duration of the festival because, they're very expensive and, it's like this special print and their limited edition and all of that. We'll probably see these move over to the Art of Disney, which is now located over at the American Adventure, if I had to guess. I'm waiting for where they release all the prints so we can get regular prints of the different Epcot poster designs, where normal people can order these for a reasonable price. That'll be awesome because I want to get some for my apartment. That'd be really cool, but we will see when that happens. As I just said, just such a beautiful day in Epcot. Looking at this sunset here, I remember when I was filming this, I was just thinking, I am so lucky to have this job, covering the latest in the parks for you guys. I'm just so thankful because it wouldn't be possible without you watching, even right now. I just want to thank you guys so much, not to mention all the support. Of course, I have people who support me on like Patreon and like, monetarily, but also just watching the videos is just amazing. I'm really glad you guys enjoy the content, and I'll keep making it better and keep going more in depth with all the latest happening in the parks here, because I really want to do not just a good job, I want to do the best job, and that's what I'm always aiming for. So I really appreciate all your guys' feedback and all your guys' support. Thank you so, so much. Exiting the park here, you can see Figment waving farewell to Festival of the Arts, and with that, that's your latest look at all of the Epcot overhaul construction for February 2020. On the Future World West side, they have this really cool park exit signage in the new font. I really like that. Really excited to see all this come together. Taking a look at the park map they have on display in the park right now, just how much is blocked off in the middle of Future World there. I think the number one focus is on redoing Mouse Gear, because once that reopens, then they can add new dining stuff to Innoventions East, where the temporary Mouse Gear currently is. Once Mouse Gear opens, then they can close the temporary Mouse Gear, redo that building, and then that whole side of Future World, that part of the center area, can finally reopen, and then you can have a guest pathway that brings you straight in to the World Showcase, which obviously is what Disney wants to do. Maybe that'll be done before Christmas. That's probably the goal, or maybe even Thanksgiving, but we'll see if that's possible. Probably not redoing the inside of Innoventions East. That will probably take a little bit longer than being done by November, but I do think we will get the new Mouse Gear location by then. They might even change the name. Maybe it won't be called Mouse Gear anymore. Imagine redoing one of the most popular parks on Earth, redoing the entire middle area, everything from the front gates all the way through into the World Showcase, while having guests needing to flow through it every hour of every day to during your construction project. That's why this is so complicated. That's why we have all these temporary walkways and all these temporary stores and walls that are in different sections at a time, little pieces of pathway being done at a time, the two different halves of the Epcot entrance being done at a time. But the final product, once we get all this, once we see it all come together, I do think it'll be worth it. And the commitment being shown here by Disney and redoing all this the way they're doing it, it's so unbelievably complicated, and the fact they're actually going through with it, I think is very, very good to see. I love all these new signs in Epcot, by the way. You can see the front one here. It actually lights up from the inside. The Epcot logo, it lights up. So cool. Be sure to subscribe with those notifications on so you don't miss any of the latest Disney news on the way. And don't forget, we have t-shirts for sale. We have a new Epcot-inspired Mickey View shirt for sale on Teespring. Link in the description below. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for watching. This is Braden. Have a magical day.